right. Hey, hello. Welcome to episode 0 of the Third Eye Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Matthew James. I am a graduate of the Florida A&M University. I'm currently in my first year of my master's degree at University of Southern Miss, where I'm studying saxophone performance. And I'm from South Florida. So I'm going to hand it off to whoever wants to introduce themselves next.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. I'm Nick. I am also one of the co-hosts, one of three. Well, in this case, it'd be two of three. Um, but I currently reside in the city of Atlanta. Shout out, South Side. But yeah, right now, currently work, full time job, and I'm currently in the automotive field, going in that direction. Working towards getting certified and helping people fix their cars and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm handing off to my dog.
What's good, folks? My name is Justin Fitzpatrick. Currently, I work for a nonprofit. We are all we need incorporated. Shout out, shameless plug. As a community relations director, I also attended and graduated from Florida A&M University as well. Um, and I guess where I'm looking to go is to just help communities grow, help their stories be told, help young adults, young Black adults tell their stories of how their communities are and how they are looking for a way to thrive. And that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So, Matt, tell me a little bit about, tell us a little bit about how this came together. How did we create Third Eye? And then lead us into our episode topic for today.
All right, cool. So what led to the Third Eye Podcast as we know it, I guess I got to talk a little bit about, how we all met each other. We all met during our time in the Marshall 100 at Florida A&M University. And, Hubbard for sure. We're all really close friends. And one day we just made a joke about making a group chat because all three of us are Virgos. So, apparently we're all the same person, right? If I'm speaking right about astrology, we're all the same exact person. We all think the same way. Okay. So, yeah, we just made a group chat and we started talking about, topics that interest us. And we would have these conversations for long periods of time and with really deliberate perspectives, which is really cool. So we're just like, man, let's just make a podcast. Like, why not? And, we figure, say, somebody would be interested in what we have to say. And if somebody isn't, hey, that's cool. We're still doing what we would normally do anyways. And I'll talk a little bit about what we hope to achieve with the podcast. I think really just having a platform for us to talk about things talk about really anything is cool. Show people that, we have things that are intelligent and worthy to be heard as well. And varying perspectives and insight for multiple ways of looking at literally the exact same thing. We can talk about anything. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is the early stages of dating. So I'm going to hand it off to whoever wants to define what talking or dating is.
Definitely gonna pick it up off this one. So right now, in our day and age, generation, whatever, we have entered the time where we have added the phrase "talking" to what is known as to what is known in the early stages of dating, and I think a lot of people use that, very widely. So let's figure out what it is. So what is talking? I feel like talking is definitely when exactly what it's talking or exactly what it sounds like. You're getting to know the person, and it's really just solely based off the communication and hanging out with the person, really trying to get a feel for who the person is, before any additional move is made. um, I mean, that's pretty much my definition for it. If anybody wants to chime in and go from there.
I agree with you definitely on that. That talking is essentially what that word states. Just getting to know someone, getting to um understand who they are, learn their personality, how it meshes with yours. That's that real um understanding your dynamic level type deal, or how your dynamic works with that person and how their dynamic intertwines with yours as well. Um, but it's nothing serious. So it's definitely, from a level of, this is somebody that I could see myself with, but I'm not prepared to make it official. I just want to see what things look like, how we mesh in situations, things like that, to give it its time to breathe, as well as time for you to discover what you're looking for and who you're looking for, and what out of that person you're looking for, essentially. Um, so I guess the next question essentially would be, how long would your talking phase be? You know, some people say, it could be a few months. I know, because of Think Like a Man, that whole movie, and Steve Harvey, shout out to Steve Harvey, I guess. The whole 90-day rule, and things like that. I know a lot of people have different kind of rules of thumb of what their talking stages are when they officially make things official. But I ask you guys, what is your talking phase? Like, how long is it?
I gotta be honest, my talking phases aren't that long. Like I feel like I figure out what I need to know or what I want to know if I'm going to take this person seriously, like very quick. So I guess I don't want to be drastic and say like a week because that's not realistic. Maybe like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't got time to play. I really just want to know what I want to know.
Right.
This man said I don't have time to play. I get it. How long? How long? The tops I'm giving it a month and a half. I feel as though, I mean, like you said, I know what's going on. I know what I'm going for. And it's really that time to really just dive into. All right, is this gonna? Am I gonna go through with this or not? Anything past a month and a half, and at that point, I'm just wasting your time and mine. And that's what we love over here. But no, seriously, but no, seriously, after a month and a half, it's just that's it for me. Unless unforeseen circumstances, which haven't been in that situation yet. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of y'all. It's not too long for me either. Um, Roughly about, I was say, I'm thinking of like my earliest. I remember my earliest college relationship. That kind of makes me sound dated, but my like my
Feelings
earliest
ago.
college relationship. The talking phase was literally winter break. So like it was right after Florida Classic into like Thanksgiving and Christmas, which was roughly about 2 to 3 weeks. Um, and I was kind of certain. So like I would say roughly no longer than a month, month and a half tops. If it goes to like week 6, obviously I've done all the feeling out I can. It's just not working. But definitely no longer than a month and a half. I definitely agree with that as well. Because chemistry is like instantaneous sometimes. I don't think it's something that necessarily has to be built. Doesn't necessarily mean the person you have the best chemistry with is the person you're supposed to be with, or that's your soulmate. Maybe that's a hint hint conversation topic one day. But
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
like you should figure out, or you have a good idea if that person meshes with you really well and you want them to like learn you and be in your space more often within a month roughly.
Mm.
um how do you know the difference between talking and dating? And big thing, because a lot of people get this misconstrued just because they don't communicate. Are you allowed to talk to other people in your talking phase?
Now,
Do you feel like you should be kind of focused in on that one person, or do you feel like you should, have your hotline bling and just have that shit like off the ring, and you courting about, or are you talking to about 4 or 5 different people at one time?
I am deceased. I'm gonna go ahead and take the lead on this one. Me personally, I don't think that you should be talking to different other people just because you know solely what's going on, right? Now, that's just me personally. If I find the interest, obviously I'm not really trying to be your friend. I'm trying to actually go through with something else more than that. So if
Yeah.
that's the case, now hopefully the interest is mutual or it becomes mutual at some point. But since my interest is solely for something more, then I ain't gonna be doing that. It's just gonna give that month and a half time limit, and then after that, All right, that's gonna be very, very cutthroat. Gonna move on, and so I don't think that you should be talking to other people. I think that's solely who your interest is on, who your interest on. It should go to because other things start to happen. So but that's just me.
Justin, you can go next.
Bet. I'm kind of happy you said that, Matt. Too. I'm not even gonna lie that you threw it to my way. So I think, Nick, I don't think it's really a if you should or shouldn't. I think naturally it will happen itself. Like you're naturally going to, as you talk to, the people that you talk to, there's going to be one person that sticks out different from the rest. So eventually you'll start to kind of drop other conversations. It's something we kind of all do where it's like, once that person comes about, it's like, I'm talking to this person be like, oh, you hadn't texted me, you hadn't talked to me in a while. It's like, oh, I'll get back to you. But you're like, no, I'm not really going to get back to you. I just said that in the moment. Or like, oh, yeah, I've been busy. Nah, you haven't been busy. You just found what you was looking for. You found what you were not looking for. You said, that's dead. Like at this point, it's something that we all do. But I think naturally, as people like to say, the cream rises to the top. So, naturally that kind of happens in your dating time, in your talking phases, and you really find and delineate who that person is for you and move forward with that person or allow that person to move, naturally let the steps happen to move forward.
I'll say for me, because the talking stage and the dating stage aren't the same thing, if I'm talking to someone, like, I don't see an issue as long as you two don't establish at the very beginning that this is exclusive at the very beginning of talking.
Nice.
Like if you guys establish that, that's totally fine. But if not, like talking is very vague. And that's why I say unless you have those parameters set, then I feel like it's fine. Now the dating stage, I'm not taking out two people, at this 2, 3, 4. Like I'm not doing that. That's different. Like if we're at the point where we're dating, like that's like the advanced talking stage, but not necessarily like the exclusivity of a relationship. But it still does have some exclusive components in it, like when you get to that point, like, oh, let me take you out, let's do this, let's do that, that starts to form the basis of what the relationship could be. So if you cloud that up with doing that with multiple people, it's just going to make it difficult. But like the whole talking thing, I don't see anything wrong with it, talking to, or at least if you talk to multiple people, but that's just me. So my question to you guys is, when do you feel confident to move to the next step after that talking or dating stage? Like what boxes does that person have to check for you?
Nick, you want to take it?
Yeah. Before I actually get into that, going back, you were saying, Matt said that as long as you guys communicate beforehand, then y'all should know what's going on. And I just want to make one comment, and that would be everybody wants to be grown up until it's time to communicate. So communication is key. So yeah,
Yep.
just gonna add that in. Everybody
Nice.
want to be grown, but nobody want to use their words and communicate.
Come on.
Right.
So it's so funny. I'm happy you kind of like backed it up a little bit because I do have a follow-up question. And this is just because I have done this recently, until most recent, but I had personally gone out on dates with multiple women, and it's just because you always need that I guess the experience like going out and getting that over or through that little initial public anxiety of going out with somebody or taking them out on a date. So I guess my question would be, let's say the talking phases go and you can't decide between, let's say you talk to multiple people, but you can't decide between 2 or 3 potentially. Do 3 of them move on to like a first date at least? So you can kind of figure out what the realm looks like. I'm not saying that, you have the money for it or things like that, because most people, they be like, oh, if you ask me on a date, you got to pay for it. We're not getting to that tonight. But if they're like, 2 or multiple, people that you're deciding between, is there a chance that you then take somebody out on a first date, or you pick like a couple out of the mesh that you may say have chemistry with and take them on a first date? I know a lot of people do it. I don't know. I just want to know you guys' opinion on
I think, or did you want to go first, Nick?
You got it, man.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to take go on that first date with multiple, people. The thing about that is though, people reveal more physically than over or through a medium. So like whether you're texting or you're on the phone, it's not the same thing as being there with that person. Like there's a lot of intimacy involved in that moment that causes people to open up in a lot of different ways. And from there you can gain even more information. But then it's like you also run the potentiality of you go on a first date with like 2 or 3 girls and all of them go well. Is there a second date? I don't know. Like I guess I've never been in that situation, but even then, you need as much information as you need to make the decision, which I think is appropriate because it's your life, it's your relationship, it's your body, it's, all of that. I think the problem that we run into is that people try to set parameters or put other people into a box of what we should all do or think is normal or appropriate. And that's how people end up in relationships that are long-term that they hate being in, but they're afraid of sacrificing the time that they put into it.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it, man. It is what it is. I'm not going. Well, this is me speaking solely on information given because I've already stated how I feel. But if I were going to be doing that, I'd say yeah, go for it. As many dates as possible. Me personally, though, I feel like I would know more information based off how much the person would or would not flake via phone. It's like, why would I go out of my way to try to schedule said outing if said person is definitely flaking via phone? Let me call or text, And it's kind of like because Matt said otherwise that you get a lot of intimacy in person, more so over the phone. People's schedules. People may not be good with their phones, even though we live in a phone era.
Yeah.
People always have their phone. So that's another thing. But like I said, that's just me. Kind of a weird situation, just speaking like right off the dome. But yeah, that'll be that. And Justin, did you have anything to add before we actually move into the question that Matt asked before?
Right. I got one thing to add just because I've heard your responses from it now. I did like the aspect of Matt, you saying that you don't know what you know until you know it, essentially, and needing to probably take that fleshing out thing. That's like a huge key indicator. A lot of people, I don't think, take the time to figure that out for themselves. They allow emotions to kind of run over logic. Again, just putting that out there, another conversation topic probably. But yeah, they allow their emotions to run through their logic, so then they either get into a relationship too quickly, or they could allow logic to take over through emotion, where they overthink everything and miss out on a good opportunity potentially.
Yeah.
So definitely that filling out phase, whatever that is for you, I think a lot of people should embrace that and be more comfortable in it, because I don't think a lot of people do, because of ticking timelines that have now been developed due to societal, means and terms, as well as personal anxieties that you may have about your own life. So I'm happy you said that, because that really like clicked in my head of like, damn, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't take the time to figure out if the person they're with is the person they want to be with. They're either pressured extrinsically or intrinsically, and that's just is what it is. And then Nick, you brought up something in terms of your answer. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I know you talked about it being your life, and just determining, but you said something and I can't remember. Can you recap your answer? I'm sorry.
I said that me never been in a situation, and my answer technically goes against what's being said. So if I'm speaking right off the dome, I'm saying that yes, take as many people out as possible for your own information, because Matt said that you get a certain level of intimacy in person rather via phone, which gives you more information. However, I said that why would I essentially waste my time trying to
Yeah,
get to that stage of getting an outing where I cannot get reasonable said response in reasonable said time,
yes,
which is relative with what you said. But yeah, that would be that as well.
that's it. So that's what you said. You're able also to, and I think that goes back to like the cream rising to the top topic, but you talked about highlighting, seeing those patterns in people very early on in terms of their texting, in terms of their, phone calls, things like that. If you're always chasing them down, why would I chase somebody else to take them out? I'm not going to do that. Like
Right.
it has to be some equal things to show that, hey, I want to take you out. And, there have been some things done on both sides for me to feel comfortable at this point. And I think this will lead us right into the question Matt asked earlier about those boxes being checked. There now you've seen some things out of the talking phase, out of the text messages, out of the phone calls, out of the FaceTimes, everything that you've seen, you feel comfortable right now finally getting out to that date. So I'm so happy you said that, because that's what I wanted to highlight, is that you do pick up on patterns really early about those kind of things. But that leads us right into now Matt's question about the check boxes. Like, when do you feel comfortable enough um taking somebody out to that first date or taking that next step? So Matt, ask that question again so we can go ahead and get into it.
Yeah. When do you guys feel confident moving to that next step? What boxes does she need to check for you to be like, all right, you wifey?
Oof, wifey, that's a big one. How about we go back to girlfriend D, or significant other.
I thought we were hopeless romantics on here, bro. Come on.
You're
Oh
absolutely
man.
right. Love at first sight, man.
Come on.
I actually got a ring for you right now. I don't even know you. No, definitely. I think check boxes for everybody, and usually it's one of those things where you don't know until you know. But
Ooh.
definitely being comfortable around said person. Um, what's it called? Yeah. Well, number one, being comfortable around said person. And I think that goes along with chemistry. So I really don't want to say chemistry, but I mean, chemistry is another thing as well. Um, but I just like right off the bat, comfortable with chemistry, and definitely where they're going with their lives. I think that moving on to a relationship is a big step because uh, I ain't the one to be playing with. So if I'm dating, it's strictly to be moving on past that. So um, let's see where you're heading in life. Let's see how you feel about certain things that are kind of taboo in this day and age, like lifestyle, type of money you want to be making, religion, how many kids. There's a lot of serious things, but I think that a relationship is a very serious factor because marriage is definitely a mutual agreement. Yes, we can talk about being happy and being in love, all that other stuff, but first and foremost, it's a financial agreement as well. And that's when I say it's a mutual agreement. What I have to offer, what you have to offer, let's bring it together. So that's one of the things that's going to be clicking, but that's going to be coming as you get to know the person as you're talking. So um, yeah, but so answer your question. Being comfortable, chemistry, and basically like future, like where we can grow from where we're starting now. Uh, Future terms and where you would like to grow as a person, so or where both of us can grow. So together. So yeah, that'd be check boxes to move on. If anybody wants to pick up after that.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of those. Definitely, I think the confidence comes when you can wholeheartedly say this is the person you want to focus on a little bit more, um, and start to develop what your life would look like. how now adding this person into the fold, essentially, how will life look? Like, how will my future look? How do we move? So some of the boxes I would say that need to be checked. Yes, definitely a level of comfortability. Um, yes, definitely a level of emotional attachment, but I don't think a lot of people talk about this side of it. But trust, the foundation of trust. So basically if I feel like I can, trust you with some things now, like with some personal, discussions or personal conversations, that's definitely a box that will be checked for me. And they have to bring you a level of security, right? It's not even a trust aspect from you, but you got to be sure that you can trust them and that you hold their word and their level of integrity at a high point. Because there are going to be some people that you can kind of, can't bullshit a bullshitter. You can call it out as soon as they say something to you. You're like, nah, that's not true. I feel this like you trying something shady or you trying to move shady on me. There's gonna be some people that feel really comfortable and real easy to move with, and they're really honest in everything that they do and everything that they say to you. So basically, definitely a level of trust, a level of comfortability in a physical mental aspect, basically being out in public, things like that. Like you feel comfortable in your conversations with them and being able to open up your 100% true self to them. So that those are the boxes that would need to be checked and where I would feel comfortable moving forward. Matt, do you want to answer your own question?
Yeah, I'll definitely say, and I'm gonna have to really like summarize it because I'm very, very, very guilty of being obscenely picky. I can't help it. I gotta know that this time I'm putting in is not for fun, because I like to take people seriously. And then when it gets to a point where I'm taking you too seriously, you're like, bro, chill out. Nah. So above all, I'm very interested in someone who's working on themselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Like you have to really, like you don't have to be perfect. I could very much care less about that because I'm very flawed as a person and I'm a work in progress. But when I can see that you're working on yourself in those ways, like how can I complain? Because every day of our life is supposed to theoretically be about getting better than what you were yesterday. So if you look at it on that small scale, I can really rock with that type of person because that means that I have a woman that can build. And that's the type of woman that I want. I want to build, my version of what I view as like my utopia. And I don't want to do it by myself. I don't want to be in a relationship by myself. So it's a partnership. I think the next biggest thing is like just being with someone who has passion. That's just huge. I'm such a passionate person where it's like what I'm pursuing as my career is what I love. So it's like I can't relate to you going to work and you hate work every day and you're looking for refuge within me. I can't do that for you, because I just can't relate. I'm coming home from work and I'm 9 times out of 10 probably not pissed off, like that type of thing. And really like, and this is something I can tell from the talking stage. So this will be my last point. Like just seeing from the very beginning of like interacting with you on that potentially relationship or intimate level is like, how collaborative are you with like us? So like, if I'm courting a young lady, I'm looking to see, if she's as invested as I am into planning our dates, as invested into as I am into, really pushing our conversations together, pushing each other to be great. Like, can I talk to her about my passions and it doesn't just go out one ear and out the other? And then, is she genuinely taking interest in that type of stuff? Like those are very key things that I pay attention to very early on. And it's like the biggest thing for me, and I'll stop talking about this, is like when you're in that talking phase, you see someone so interested in you because you're fresh to them, which automatically makes you interesting, not because you're interesting, but because you're fresh to them. So what happens after you're no longer fresh? Are they still as interested in learning all the things that they don't know about you? Or are they complacent? Or are they okay with that? Like love is supposed to be constant. Like you're constantly trying to learn more about yourself and that person because you're both involved in it. So like if I'm, like I said earlier, courting a young lady and we're on this little timetable or whatever the case is, and we're a few weeks down the line and our conversations start to slow up, which naturally happens, but still like you have to put that effort into just keep pushing them. And if it's not there, I'm gonna just get bored. Then I'll be like, maybe not. So, hey, that's just me.
Well, interesting. Now it's crazy because I don't know if you guys feel like this, but a lot of the things that aren't being said still feel some type of way, or still feel as though, yeah, I feel that way as well. I don't know if you guys feel that way about either of our responses.
Oh, for sure.
Your responses, I'm like, oh, definitely. But we were definitely talking about some things that we are looking for. But we also want to move on to some things that we don't want to look towards, and that's going to be some of the red flags that we're not looking for when it comes to talking. And before we get to that, I want to personally ask you guys: do you guys still ask people to be your girlfriends, or no? Because I know that's not a thing anymore.
Of course.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, I still do.
It's great, great.
I'll be single though, so it don't make a difference. But
we're not gonna talk about that. But sheesh. All right. Well, yeah. So, what are some red flags that you guys are not particularly looking for, but if you notice, it's like, you gotta go, man.
I'll go first.
I don't know if we got enough time.
Yeah. No. I'm just gonna throw a few. It's kind of like the opposite of like the things that I was saying. So like if she's not passionate, I'm not even gonna give you the chance. Like it's done. Like I'm gonna figure that out soon, and I'm gonna be like, I can't. It's very difficult for me to coexist with someone who's so like who bases their actions off of emotions. Like it's so difficult. Like I think emotions should be a part of logic because what you did and how it made me feel, can sometimes influence what I do from there forth, which is, that in itself is logical. But the basis of what you're doing can never be just, you made me feel this way, so I put lighter fluid on your bed and lit it on fire. Like that's not logical. Like what, like, like stuff like that.
It's pretty warm, man.
Hey, so one more red flag, and then I'm gonna hand it off to Jay Fitzgod.
Sauce God.
Is really like when, oh my God, when the person projects insecurities that starts within themselves onto their partner, which allows me to understand. And I've been in that situation before, and I'm a very, internal person. So I'm like, what could I have done differently? What could I have done to not have led to you to feeling like this type thing? But when I get to the point where I back myself into a corner, like I didn't do anything, you just felt that way. I didn't make you, have that suspicion or anything. I'm very honest. When that person projects their insecurities onto you, even when you give no reason to be insecure, that's a sign of trauma that they haven't dealt with from a previous experience. That is it's very important because at that point you have to make a decision about where you want to move forward with that relationship.
Man said, you just felt that way. It was definitely the quote of the year. You just felt that way, man.
And if you thought you knew me,
you don't.
And you don't.
Come on. So for me, definitely agree with all of that. Passion. Thinking with logic. Like I'm huge on that too. Like if you coming to me off of emotions and you ain't have no like fact or no basis, I ain't got time for it. Something immediate as well. definitely the flakiness. I'm gonna go back to the point of like if you just like look for ways or you just cannot for some strange reason deal um or just can't communicate that well, like emotional communication got to be at some type of level, definitely. Let me think. Another red flag. If you like to party all the time, I'm sorry, you're not for me.
Sheesh.
I'm not a party guy. I'm just, it's not me. That's not what I do. That's not how, what I was on before you met me. It's not what I'm going to be on when you meet me. I can have fun, but if you would just like to have fun all the time, no, I can't do it. Like, you got to have some type of focus. Like, if you do a 9 to 5 and you go out like on the weekends, cool. But like, or if you working, or you like, if you're moving yourself forward, let me say that like that. Let me not, because then we'll get into like a whole be Simone. I don't like niggas that work 9 to 5
Dead.
conversation, and that's not what this is. But if you are moving yourself forward in any way towards the goals that you have set for yourself, I am a fan. You gotta be moving forward progress always. It's progression, not perfection. That's something Michael Todd, Transformation Church people out there. That's something he says all the time. But if you are like progressing, if you somebody also who does not wallow, like don't send your wallows too long. I'm sorry, because I'm gonna give you as much as I can to help you, but at some point I'm not gonna have enough emotional energy for the both of us. And I'm
How about that?
like somebody that like can just as long as they can pick themselves up, like they like we're able to communicate effectively, um, and y'all not flaky. I can dig it.
Sheesh. Sheesh. I ain't gonna list any myself. I ain't gonna lie to you, but
Oh Lord, what?
just don't waste my time, man. I just
Just don't waste my time.
the door that way, man.
That's fact.
Just don't waste my time. Be real upset. Um, I mean, but that's pretty much gonna, you know, it's pretty much, yeah, yeah. Just don't waste my time, man.
Come
Um,
on, come on. I
but
feel you.
that's
I feel you.
that's gonna wrap up episode 0 of
Come on.
the Third Eye podcast. We definitely like to hear from all of our listeners. What are some red flags that you guys, see immediately and are like, nah, what are you guys looking for in a relationship? Uh, do you guys still ask people to be your partners? Um, are you guys still actively listening or looking for partners? Things of that nature. What do you guys actually want us to talk about or would like us to talk about? Definitely would like some feedback and to hear from you guys. But until next time, thank you guys for listening. And yeah,
This is the Third Eye podcast.
Oh yeah,
that's, if you
Come on.
thought you knew me, you don't.
you don't.
Hey.
You don't.